Steve Royal, my trusty mug of tea in my Grand Theatre cup, and the background there, the fabulous Grand Theatre, which is what we're talking about, my memories of all the pantomimes I've done there. I brought a stack of all my leaflets. The only one I realise is the most recent one that I haven't got here, but we'll come to that very shortly. I'll try and whiz through the last, this is Peter Pan in 13, so last 7 years of pantos if I can. Jennifer Ellison came in Sleeping Beauty that year. Jennifer was brilliant, but in the dress rehearsal we had a bit of a nightmare. She slipped again. We'd had an incident this years earlier, but she slipped in the wings on some of the dry ice fluid and really went flying, and it was touch and go as she made the show, but she soldiered on, did really well. Lovely lady. Again, this was the first time I worked with Nick Wilton. Brilliant dame. Probably my favourite dame to work with, only because he's got a background in comedy, and some people I tend to bond with just that little bit easier than others, and Nick is an example of that. He got me and I got him, if you understand what I mean by that. And so we both got each other's sense of humour. And we also had Michael Chance, who was the king in that year, and he was brilliant as well, great actor. Yeah, so wonderful. Then we move on to the year after with the fabulous Sue Pollard in Snow White. Now, what can I say about Sue Pollard? Utter legend. Again, I mentioned earlier when I said I did panto, when we did the 2 pantos with Ruth Maddock, to work with Sue Pollard, being a fan of Hi-de-Hi. Oh, obviously a fan of Ruth's, but when you then get Sue Pollard, let's face it, she was the ultimate comic character in Hi-de-Hi, and to be on stage with her was brilliant. But best part about that panto, without doubt, was working with Daniel Whiston. Dan Whiston, brilliant. Again, one of these characters, not too big for pantomime, even though he was very famous through Dancing on Ice, etc. He was so humble and so enthusiastic. We started rehearsing. If you remember the scene we did together, we did a spoof of the Torval and Dean Bolero. And we started rehearsing that in September of that year. So we basically had 3 months rehearsals before the actual panto. So we were really, and I had to, because I'd never skated before, but he taught me from scratch. I borrowed some skates actually. And we started off rehearsing over in Burnley. We rehearsed because Anthony Williams, who was directing us who was directing the dance at least. It's where he lives. So we met up at the Mechanics Theatre in Burnley at the rehearsals, and then me and Dan used to meet up then every week. A couple of times a week we'd go over to Barbara Jackson's School of Dance in Thornton, Cleveland, and we'd practice as well. And without doubt, up there, my favourite act I've done in any panto is the ballerina scene, which I wrote and put into the very first Cinderella, or second Cinderella we did, and then it's been in every Cinderella since, but tweaked a little bit. I love the ballet scene, definitely one of my favourites. The other one was the roller skating one with Dan. He went on, did loads of twists and turns, and then I came on as Torval. Which one was it? Torval. I came on slowly across the back, and then he picked me up and my leg falling off. I fell into the pit off my skates, which wasn't easy. That's not easy when you're on roller skates, falling off the edge of. I didn't think, did I? But when you think about it, you got wheels on. It's all right. I've fallen off many a time into that pit pretending. But when you've got wheels on, there's an added thing about the wheels catching you going too far and end up on the front row, or worse, onto the band. Anyway, yeah, so that was a fabulous panto. And then Barney Harwood was welcomed back the year after, in 2016, with Aladdin. Mark Morahan, again, lovely fella. We had a real good laugh with Mark, funny man. Even though he's the baddie, and me and Barney again, because I'd already knew him, we worked so well together, we enjoyed ourselves. Mark James had the talented Mark James in that as well, great magician. And this was the only time ever I've missed the start of a pantomime, because traffic, there was a big incident on the motorway that year. It was a school day, so it was one of the school shows, early morning, and we had to get to the theatre for 9:15 for a 10:15 show, and at 9:15 I was only just north of Chorley, where I live. The motor was so bad, and I was giving a lift to my other best mate, Ronnie Leake, who was also in the pantomime with us and lives just up the road here. And he was playing the Emperor, and we were both stuck in this car, and we'd set off in way good time because we knew there was an incident on the motor. We didn't realise how bad. And we chugged along. It got to 9:15, 9:30, 9:45. We knew the show was starting at 10:15. We weren't even on the M55 at this point. We knew we were going to be very late. Anyway, when we finally got into the traffic that was flowing, if you like, we formed the theatre and they said, right, we'll start the show now. As soon as you get here, go on. And I remember we zoomed there, we parked at the side of the stage, they kind of let us park by stage door. I ran on stage, they had my costume ready, I put my costume, didn't even have time to put my makeup on, put my microphone, got my costume on, just in time for Mark James, bless him, he was just about to do a magic act, he didn't need to do it, I was there, bang, straight on, just in time, maybe a little bit late for my opening cue, because he got on slightly before me, but we made it and the show must go on, as they say. But I was so relieved because I would have hated it and I'd beat myself up for years and years if I'd ever missed a single show because, you know, touch wood, summer house. I've never missed a show and I hope I'll never do. The year after, we did the brilliant Cinderella. That was another cracker, again, with a lovely lad at JJ Hamlet from Union J. Again, I thought it might be a bit... I don't know what's the word, but yeah, just a bit egotistical with him being from a boy band, but again, absorbed it all, loved it all. Now, the beauty of this was, Olivia was lovely to work with. What a lovely girl she is. Fabulous. And I also got to work with another comedy legend, Mel Walters. Now, Mel, it sounds pretentious for me to say I don't always learn a lot from other comedians because we don't generally get other comedians that I work with, but to work with a comic actress like Mel was brilliant. Similar with Amanda Barry as well. I learned so much from her. Her pauses, her timing and stuff, impeccable. I learned an awful lot from Mel. And again, there's other great people. Mark Patterson, Mr. Patterson. We did have funny videos that year. Funny enough, he's just been dropped off. My printer broke down today for the kids doing the homeschooling, so he's working at Tesco at the moment and dropped one off at my front door. Couldn't see each other, of course, because it's lockdown. But the fact was Mr. Patterson, and we had so much fun doing the Mr. Patterson, Mr. Royal videos that year. So again, fond memories of Cinderella a couple of years ago. And then we moved from Cinderella into this belter. We announced Beauty and the Beast, brand new pantomime, which was in 2018, 2019. And whoa, got to work with Nick Wilton again. The beauty of this was it was new for all of us. It was new for UK productions, it was new for the theatre, it was a brand new script. So there was a real enthusiasm, a real sense that we were, I suppose not going to sound too big a deal, but we were creating history, doing it for the very first time. And it was so rewarding as a result. And Danny Walters as the lead was absolutely brilliant. And so was, Amelia Adams-Pierce. Hayley was back in it as well. Ben Harlow, excellent villain. Again, a lovely, lovely man and a very, very funny villain. And so that was a lot of pride when we put that one out. And it did very well in the National Panto Awards as well. Won Best Script, I think, in the end, and other nominations as well. Not myself, I'm not bitter. And then finally, brings us up to today, doesn't it? And the most recent pantomime, Peter Pan, which I suppose, having been through all those 18 years of panto, 17 years of panto, the 17th one with Peter Pan, and finally had more fun than any other year. Mainly because I was working with Tom Lister again, who's just such a good friend and such a funny man to work with. And anyone who came to see it knows how much fun I had on stage this year. And long may it continue. I love the Grand Theatre. I know you all love the Grand Theatre. Keep supporting it. We will rise again. The curtains will open once more. And please, I just beg you, if you're seeing this now and you know, we're all feeling a little bit down at the moment, just remember there's people losing their jobs at the moment because of this virus. And the best way you can support we don't want to lose theatres, do we? We don't want to lose beautiful, iconic venues like this. Please, please, please make sure you book for whenever we get out of this, book to see a show, preferably pantomime. I would love it to see you, or preferably both. Book a show and the pantomime. Come and support us. It's your local theatre for you beautiful people of Blackpool and beyond. I've been Steve Royal, and these have been my pantomime memories. Thanks.